Welcome back to the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center studio. Today we are looking at the human figure and movement. So the last two segments we learned how to draw the human face and how to draw the body, but only straight on. We looked at the proportions of the body and how we measured them going by the head. Now we're going to look at how things change when we change up the body movement. Some things that we have to consider are, I'll use this guy as an example, the fact that if the hands are not laying flat at the side, they're coming forward or back, then these proportions here are going to be different. For example, usually the forearm is about 1.5 head lengths, where here, obviously, the forearm is way smaller, probably about 1/2 a head length. The same thing goes with the legs as well. So if they are coming forward or going back, these proportions are going to be different. So the basic ones are always a good guideline, because usually most people will follow at least a few of these guidelines here. But mind you, sometimes their torsos can be longer, their legs can be shorter, or vice versa. So we have to have that considered when we're trying to draw from a subject. But if you're just drawing freely, feel free to just follow these proportions that are laid out for you. So feel free to follow these. So we got 1 head space, and then the neck ends at about 1/2, and then from there to the belly button, that will be 1.5 spaces, and then to the bottom of the hips, that will be 4 spaces, and then from there to the knee, that's another 2. From there, 1.5 to the ankles, and then the feet can go to 8 or 8.5. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to map out this guy here. We always start with the head, so we just find the circle. We're not going to include his jaw in the circle. Not quite yet. So we're using this circle as our measurement base for the rest of his body. You can add a triangle here in order to represent his jaw. So from here to here to the shoulder line, let's see, we can just use a pencil as a guide. It's super fast. And we got 1 head length here. So from the base of the head down, the shoulder line is here. So it actually follows about halfway down, half length. So that proportion follows. And so halfway down, we're going to draw this straight line. You can also figure out how long that's going to be. And usually it's 2 to 2.5 shoulder lengths, depending on the person, right? So 2 to 2.5 head lengths, I should say. So from the tip of his shoulder, 1, 2. So it's about 2. So that's how you're going to map that out. That comes down 1/2, that comes over 2. Then you just have your circles for your shoulders. Okay, so when we're going down, doing this line here, it's supposed to be 2.5 head spaces. Let's just find out if that is true for this guy. 1, 2. Okay, so it's actually about 2. And his belly button placement is different than what we would consider normal. All right, so when you're drawing that line, you have to consider the curve. Depending on how your person is placed, most likely the spine will be curving. So let's just curve this here. use the belly button as a center guide. Alright, and you can also figure out, using your headspace, where to place the belly button. And then you're gonna draw this line here to start where the hips are. So the hips are about 1 head length. This is stretched a little bit, so again, you're just gonna use that measurement to kind of figure out how wide his hips are. So his hips here, well, we'll start, this is the base of the leg, so you're actually gonna cut it off here. So you can figure out how many head lengths this is, and I think it's about 1.5, but you get the idea of how we're measuring things out. Now there's a lot of tips and tricks and different things that you can do to figure out measurements, and there's some things that are a lot more intense and exact. This is just simple. You want to practice some simplicity at first, so you don't get frustrated. So I'm just showing you a simple way to map things out, so you can practice. And then as you go, your brain starts remembering those things right off the bat and remembering the proportions, and it's easier for you to just draw the figure without having to map things out as much as you do in the beginning. So we'll just fast forward here of the placements of your proportion circles and everything, and then we'll get on to doing some detail work. Okay, so that's how you're going to map that out. When you transfer that onto a paper, what you want to do is, if you make this circle bigger or smaller, you just want to make sure that you're going by those proportions of the head that you've drawn. So when you measure out this head, you're going to consider, okay, that's a half a head length of the one you drew. Simple enough. I started this girl here. You may have seen that in the last video, and I do encourage you to check out the other videos, because this one might not make as much sense if you haven't. But I've started this girl and I mapped her out, and always start with the head. I want to show you how to do the face. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out the eye placement. Usually the eyes will fall halfway on the head. Her head's a little bit, it's just bending down a little bit, so it comes up a little higher than halfway. Right there. So you're gonna map out the line of the eyes and then find the center of the head. Okay, so we got the eye placement, and then if you want to figure out the length to the chin, then you can approximate that, and then halfway between that, that's where the bottom of the nose is going to go. And then you can figure out your other placements based on my last video here, but you kind of know where to start. Alright, so I will fast forward through defining her, but really, now that I have this mapped out, it's just a matter of making sure that you have the curves correct. This part right here will be a big help for you to draw out her torso. Then you can kind of figure out where her belly button would be and where her hips will start. And it's really just using that head as a measurement to see what parts of your body are smaller, bigger. Okay, so you get the idea here. And of course I can go on and define it, and I can add some color. I finished one off, you would have saw it at the beginning of the video there. I did a superhero. This one was fun. I looked up on the internet of a superhero that was doing this pose, and then I kind of changed it up. I changed up what she was wearing. What I would love to see from you guys is in the comments, if you try this out at home, I would love to see your work. You can get a family member to pose for you, you can get something off the internet, but just try it out, and the more you practice, the better you'll get. So thanks again for joining me, and hopefully I'll have some more videos. I may do some painting. If you want to put in the comments what you'd like to see. I am actually an acrylic painter. I do acrylic 101 classes quite a bit. I do love to draw. I love to do so many different things. So please, if you have a suggestion, let me know. Till then, take care and stay safe.